It is the day after winter solstice. We are like 3 days away from Christmas, so that seems like a great time to engage on a complete bathroom renovation, right?
Excellent!
The Thermaltake View 71 Snow Edition shows off your build in style with a frosty white paint job and 4 tempered glass side panels. You also get 2 pre-installed 140mm ring white LED fans, a vertical GPU mount with bracket, and 3-way radiator support for water cooling. So click the sponsor link in the description to learn more.
So that's right, guys, this video is a bathroom remodel. We're doing, I'm gonna say like a 2/3 remodel on this bathroom, not a complete remodel. A quick disclaimer before we get started though, I am by no means an expert at this, so you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. We're planning this as we go, and I'm figuring stuff out based on other YouTube videos, which, by the way, I will link down in the video's description. We have 2 days to complete this project. We're gonna start by pulling stuff out and doing a paint job today, and then tomorrow we're gonna be replacing the vanity, hopefully also the mirror up there, swapping out a new toilet. And lastly, a quick fix for our shower door. We're just gonna remove it and replace it with a curtain because this current one is very difficult to clean. We're gonna leave the tile up in here, and we're also not doing anything about the floor for now because we might be replacing our floors in the future. Current floors aren't much to look at, but fortunately the vanity we're installing is a floating one, so if we need to get at that in the future, we can replace the floors without having to move that, although we will have to pull the toilet in probably. But here is what we're replacing them with. For the sink top, we have the Ratviken, which I'm not gonna try to, oh gosh, okay, here you go. There you go. Happy? Okay, he's happy now. We've got the Dalskar faucet there for hot and colds, just a single post for that, and then finally we've got the Godmorgen actual vanity with 2 drawers in it. Godmorgen, of course, IKEA's reference to the very popular movie Bruce Almighty, starring Jim Carrey and Morgan Freeman, who plays God. So I'm going to attempt to document this as best I can with a time lapse, and I'll interject when I think it's necessary, when things are going right or going wrong. But first steps are going to be to move this existing vanity so I can get a better look at the plumbing behind there, and then we're also going to pull the toilet out, and then we're going to go shopping so we can get some paint, and we still need to get a replacement mirror. So we've cleared stuff out, and in case you're wondering the main reasons why we wanted to do this little project, one, this mirror is large and bulky and it's also quite high. My wife's a little bit shorter, so we want to get something that we can lower down a little bit. And then this vanity is really just, I mean, it's wood and it's kind of ornate, but it's really just a lot more than we want. It gets really dusty down on the bottom and it's very hard to clean underneath. And it's got this copper bowl in it, which my wife just hates. It's very, very difficult to keep clean. She like scoured this with a Brillo pad like last week, and it's already like very messy. So getting rid of that. This is also not level, so that would be nice to have this level, and that's kind of the inspiration. And then the toilet's just old, and I'm not even going to show you guys that. Again, the floor we are planning to replace in the future, but not quite ambitious enough to do that now. But I think we're at the point where we can pull this away from the wall, check out what's going on behind it. So I got the P-trap pulled out, and I'm sparing you guys the more horrific parts of this job, but I've also disconnected these 2, which are the feeds for the hot and cold water, and I'm gonna have to replace this. It's still dripping very slowly. This one I actually just recently replaced. That's what kind of gave me the courage to do this job, was that I replaced that one without too much difficulty the other day, and didn't have to call a plumber for it. This one I noted didn't have the PTFE wrap on it, so poor installation job there from the get-go. But it's leaking too, so I'm gonna have to turn off the main water and replace that. In the meantime though, this drain is what my main concern is. As you can see, they did a very thorough painting job when this was initially installed. Also, don't look down there. Oh, don't look down there, it's horrible. So I wasn't going to show all this because it's somewhat horrible, but I wanted to show some of the ways this old vanity failed. For instance, this vertical piece here is supposed to be sealed on the other side, like with some silicone. They never did that, so every time that water was pooling up again, because it wasn't level, it was leaking through back here and dripping down and causing all this rust and decay. Furthermore, you can see the kind of half-assed paint job. You would have think they would have painted here before they installed all this, but they obviously tried to paint back behind certain areas, as indicated by the paint on the back of the vanity itself. The baseboard likewise was only painted up to here, and then back here we have a really gross area where there was obviously in the past some cockroaches going on. Now we don't typically have cockroach issues here in our home, thankfully. This is old, but it's still gross, so I'm not going to show you, gotta clean that out. But they didn't even continue the baseboard all the way along here, they just used some small pieces to kind of finish it out there in the corner. So I'm going to need to replace that entire baseboard, although fortunately I think there isn't much in the way of water damage down there at the bottom. That appears to be just wet because of these connections I have just disconnected. Unfortunately I had a cap to put on that one right there so that it wouldn't keep dripping. It's a very, very slow drip now. So So at this point I'm just trying to get us field trip ready. This is all the assembly for the drainage underneath the sink, and this is specifically the piece that needs to go right here. So the right side of this needs to join up with this drain piece right here. This is PVC, and I was actually kind of scared that this was going to be copper, and there's different ways to join the copper to the PVC here, but since it is PVC, I'm going to cut this off because I need to shorten this anyway. Then I can use a standard PVC adapter to get down to this width and just glue it up. There it is, I cut it off. We made it to Home Depot. Item number 1 was found. This was actually really hard to find because they were out of them, but I discovered it. And we found a toilet. We wanted to get a single piece toilet, not one of these split piece ones. And there's honestly only one right here, so that's what we're going with. The Glacier Bay. There are many different options for white. Oh, this is more cream, I guess.
Cream.
But they both,
I don't mind raffia cream.
They both look delicious.
It's not as yellow as cream puff.
We're getting there. Almost ready to head back and start working. Added a hand cart. We got our paint. Got some sponges. More painting stuff. Things looking good. I have no idea how much this is all going to cost.
Thank you.
So we had a lovely In-N-Out lunch, and Diana has actually been in here wiping the walls down, which is nice. Wanted to make sure those are free of dust and detritus so that the paint will adhere to it. Meanwhile, I got to figure out the plumbing situation back there. And if I didn't already mention it, I capped this guy off because it was leaking. I was going to get a replacement for this one. This is the lower one that I already replaced. And then I discovered that our new IKEA faucet does not have the same size connectors as our old faucet. Now IKEA does very good directions for international because they ship worldwide depending on your location. So if we're here in North America, our connectors should be 9/16. But go home IKEA, you're drunk because that is absolutely not 9/16 right there. This is actually 3/8, so I guess we got the European version. But that is fine because instead of getting one replacement quarter turn shut-off valve, I got 2 of them with the proper connection up on top. So I gotta mount these down there, then we can move on with clearing all the stuff out of here so we can paint. Yes, I've already shut the water off in case you were wondering. Got both of them off. Well, I've made some progress, as you can see. We have removed the vanity, we have removed the toilet, we have cleaned up most of the stuff down there, although we still need to do maybe a little bit of sanding in the rough spots. So everything is pretty clear in here. We are definitely thinking like, wow, we probably should replace this tile because it's not the best tile in a bathroom. And big surprise, this is taking longer than expected, so it's dark now. But we should hopefully be able to get at least one coat of paint on still this evening. Welcome to day 2. So here's where we left off last night. I got to bed at about 1 a.m. We did get our initial first coat of paint on. We have been expecting to do 2 coats with this paint, so areas you can see that don't have full coverage should get better coverage. And I did try to remove all the panels and everything to paint behind stuff so we have no more splotchy areas. The only thing I didn't remove was the vent here for the air conditioner and heating, and that was so I could leave the time lapse attached to that. So I did that for you guys. After the next coat of paint though, I need to readdress one of my ball valves down here, which is very, very, very slowly leaking. I think I need to take that off and reattach it. So here is my plumbing problem, and it's one that I'm hoping doesn't force me to call a plumber. This is about as far as I am comfortable going with the plumbing because I don't know how to do welding and stuff like that. But I have an existing fitting on here, and then there's a sleeve that goes on it right there, and then that connects to your ball valve, and then it gets a good compression in there to make it watertight. Now, my problem is these are pretty much fused on here. I think these are original, and the cap, that means the cap here I can't get off. Unfortunately, with this top one, it worked and I just used the existing cap and put it on and everything's fine there, nice and watertight. But with this lower one, when I try to compress it, there's a leak out the back. So what I'm gonna try to do is push this cap back. I'm gonna use my hacksaw and just chop this off right behind that ring. I may need to sand the pipe down a little bit, and then I've got a replacement set right here with the cap and the sleeve. So that's about how much I cut off. And that turned out pretty clean, I think. So thanks, cutting tool. Hey, RTX, it just works. I don't want to celebrate too soon or anything here, but for the time being, with the water back on, it looks like it's not leaking anymore. That is very nice. Okay, time to paint coat number 2. Just finished the second coat of paint. Now I get to peel this stuff. Aw, man. It is now day 3 of this 2-day project, so yes, that means it's Christmas Eve now. Merry Christmas, everyone. Fortunately, we don't have too much going on for Christmas here. We have some family coming over tomorrow, so we're trying to get things wrapped up to a point where the bathroom is usable again, but let me take you through what we finished off last night. We removed the old glass shower door. That was really kind of janky the way it was mounted here. They had actually used wooden shims along the side, which is really not the best when you're talking about a damp environment, so there was some grossness going on there. So we've just replaced it with a simple shower curtain just to keep things easy for now. That's all in there. We're doing a rough setup for the vanity and trying to figure out where my studs are. My studs are like here, here, and here, and the vanity's a little bit wider than that. So what I'm gonna be doing is moving these mounts a little bit out, and then I'm gonna put an extra piece of wood back in here to reinforce it, and I'm gonna mount that wood straight back to the studs, and that should get things nice and stable and sturdy. Before any of that though, we're gonna put our trim in, but we're just gonna put it in temporarily because one of the things we haven't done in this project is replace the floor. We've decided we do want to do that relatively soon. So in the interest of keeping things simple for that project in another month or two, we're going to just sort of lay in the trim around the edges. I'll try to cut it to size, and then beyond that, we're not gonna paint it or anything, so that'll make it easier. Get the toilet in, get this mounted, and then hopefully we'll be done with this project for the time being. We're still not 100% set on our mirror or the cupboard we're gonna put over here yet, so that stuff still remains to be seen, but functionally we need a toilet and a sink and a shower, and hopefully we can get that all set today. These are just roughed in for now, but given that I've never done molding before in my life, I'd say this turned out okay. Sad news, friends. We have run into a major problem. It was my fault, although I didn't see it coming. I was nailing in the baseboard down there at the bottom with some finishing screws in perfectly innocuous and safe locations. Somehow, I found one of the copper supply lines, I believe, and I punched a hole right through it. There's the offending nail. There was immediate water pressure release and spray behind the wall that I could hear, so I went and shut off my water again, and now we are breaking down and having our plumber come by. Hopefully it doesn't cost too much extra on Christmas Eve, but he can at least help me out with like the very, 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 very slow leaks still happening with this, and maybe mounting the toilet too. That'd be convenient. While we wait for the plumber, some Mexican food. And on the way back from lunch, we got some drywall tape, we got some grout, and we got a quarter sheet of drywall. Time to get all the work done while we wait for the plumber, and mounting this vanity is still going to be a challenge. I'm going to mount an extra piece of wood to the back so I can mount the wood to the wall and then bolt the vanity to the wood. But the wood piece I have is a little too thick, so it was actually sticking out here at the back. So rather than get a thinner piece of wood, because I do want some thickness, this is just a piece of pine, I decided to use my router and just sort of mill out the ends here. So I'm trying to get the depth right on this, and then I can go ahead and do the other side there as well. And now here we are. This is the end of the video where I reveal that I have failed and everything went wrong. Technically not everything, but I did have major point of failure when I put a finishing nail through the baseboard right into a copper pipe and immediately had a bunch of water spraying behind the drywall, and I knew that I had caused a major problem. So to preempt the comments, yes, I am an idiot and I should have known better. I know that you're not supposed to just nail or screw things into a wall without checking what's behind there, but I've never actually had a major fail like this before. So I'm going to be much more careful in the future, and for the time being, right now there's a space cut out on the wall right there. So let me show you where we're at. So as you can see, we've got a drain right there, and then we got two copper pipes, and these are the supply lines, and that pipe there is the one that I punched through, and that is the temporary patch that the plumber put on there, because I managed to do it at such a low point here in the wall that it's really challenging to get enough copper pipe to work with to actually patch it properly. So he did a temporary fix on Christmas Eve, and then he's going to come back on Friday so he can cut further up the wall and try to bend that pipe out a little bit to get a little bit more play, a little bit more room to work with, and then hopefully he can patch that properly and professionally and won't have to jackhammer into the concrete, but we will see how that goes. If you're wondering, this is about a $500 mistake that I made. In the meantime though, since we didn't hit our deadline of getting this project done before Christmas, we now have more time since it's after Christmas and the deadline isn't as much of a big deal anymore. But now that we have more time available, I'm thinking like, well, maybe I should tear up the floor, since obviously the floor is not the best in here and it would be good to do that before we get the toilet mounted and stuff. So I now may be adding to this project, so hopefully the part 2 video where I come back and show you guys everything finished and clean and done will be interesting as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video though, and by the way, I have more home renovation projects planned in the future for 2019, so let me know in the comments below if you want to see more like this. And then lastly, there have been several YouTube channels that have been insanely helpful for me in this process, so I'm going to take links to the videos that I thought were most helpful and put those in the description too, so check them out down there if you're interested in people who know more about what they're doing than me doing projects like this. Thanks again guys, hit the thumbs up button on your way out. We'll see you in the next video.